Hey, what's going on, guys? It is your hostess with the mostest, Silly McGooserton, and we are bringing a new series here. This is called the We Create series. And what we're going to do in this series is we're going to go through the different coasters. So we're going to build all of these different coasters here. See all of these coasters. We are also going to do some track rides. So we'll go through the log flume and the powered track ride, the Luna Autos and the Magic Cats and the River Rapids. Maybe even get into the monorail and the steam train railroad. I'm not really sure, but what we're going to basically do, we're going to go through these. We'll do one different one per episode, and we're going to just create a coaster. And our goal is to create a coaster that has green ratings in the testing of the excitement, the fear, and the nausea. And this will help your people, your little guests that come into the park. They will want a lot more to ride those rides that are green rated in those three categories. Once we're done making the coaster, I'm not going to really add any scenery or anything like that. I will upgrade or upload the coaster that we make to my workshop on the Steam library. You can look everything up there. It's Silly McGooserton. And then you can feel free to download it and use it in your park and create the scenery and stuff to fit whatever theme that you're creating in your park. So, for this first episode, I think what we're going to do is we're going to build a wooden coaster. Because I like wooden coasters, and they're pretty cool. So first, let's move out here. Let's hide this down a little bit. And we'll just build something out here. So let's start it right around this area. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to hold shift, and we're going to raise this platform up just a little bit. There we go, that looks pretty good. So what I was telling you before, in these results, see there's excitement, fear, nausea. That's what we're aiming to get green ratings on. Like I said before, that's going to make the people in your park really want to ride this ride. And if you're doing a mode that's not in sandbox mode, they'll actually they'll pay a little bit more money for something like that as well. So it's also a good way to make money in your park. So we're just going to kind of go with the flow here and see kind of what we create. So let's first build another little station platform here. Let's add it on. I guess we'll do entrance right and exit left. Yeah, that's kind of cool. So let's just add one more little platform there just so we can make a little bit longer of a train. Okay. Let's go here, and we will turn off angle snap for this. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to slightly lower this just a little bit, just so the train has a little bit of momentum to come off of the station here. And we're just going to put a slight little twist into it, like so. We don't really need to bank anything just yet because obviously the train's not going to have very much speed coming off of this platform. Just lower it another touch. Alright. And what we're going to do is we're going to really twist this around because I want it to start going up on the other side. Let's even shorten this up just a little bit here. Alright, so that looks like the train is going to start right over this way. So let's straighten this out to make it kind of even with the platform. Right, there we go. That looks pretty good. Now I think what we're going to do is it's time to start our chain lift hill that's going to pull our train up this very first hill. And that's where it's going to get all its momentum that's going to propel it through the rest of the track. So let's add this at a decent little angle there. It doesn't have to be super steep or anything like that. Now I'm going to just go into the utility settings and I'm going to move the chain speed up. I like to have the chain at max speed. Obviously you can do whatever you want here. I like for them to go faster going up the hill just because I like the overall duration of the ride to be a little bit shorter. And that way it will help your queue to stay a little bit more empty and put people through the ride a little bit quicker, which also will in the end give you a little bit more profit from the ride just because you're getting people through faster. So that's the only reason I do that. You can always adjust it how you want, but that's what I like to do unless I'm making something in sandbox mode where it doesn't really matter because there's no finances involved. So let's go ahead and make this a little bit higher. That first hill is usually the hill that you get all your main speed from. That's actually a little bit too high, so let's go ahead and build that down. Okay, so let's extend this out here, make a nice smooth top. Alright, so that's going to be the end of our chain lift. So let's go ahead and get a scale here of what we just did. I think that looks pretty good. I don't need your coaster options there. Okay, so I think what we're going to do is we're going to have it spin back a little bit and then come down again on this side. I want to keep this track just a little bit more compact than you're used to with a wooden coaster. A lot of wooden coasters you'll see they'll come way out here and they'll kind of do their thing and then they'll come back to the station. But for this I think we're just going to do something a little bit different, and of course we're going to adjust it a little bit more once we test it and stuff like that. Especially because our goal is to create, like I said, those 3 green ratings. So if after our first test we don't get that, we're going to have to do some things in order to get what we want. So let's just slightly lower this track just so it gets a little bit of momentum coming off of this first hill, just kind of like it did coming off of the station. We're going to spin that around tight. Alright, let's build that back up to level right there. It's kind of going up, isn't it? Alright, well let's flatten, and then this is where it's going to start to drop down. Now I don't want to make a super steep drop right away because I don't want it to be super crazy. So we'll just kind of go down here. We'll lengthen this out a bit, build one more, and then we're going to give it just a slight little bit more of a drop there to come into this final end piece. So let's see how that looks. Okay, that looks kind of good. Kind of like that. It's not. I don't really like this curve that we got going on here. It kind of looks like we have a little angle going. I don't really like that. So let's go ahead and go back to our settings and let's angle snap just so we can get it nice and straight. Okay, I think that's better. Drop this just slightly. Actually, let's turn back off angle snap. There we go. Just wanted to turn that angle snap on for a minute just so it would snap straight to the grid because it was kind of angling at that first time that we tried it. So let's have that go down. Okay, so now we're getting close to flat land here. If we just extend this piece out a little bit, that's going to put us pretty much flat with what we have. Alright, so there's our first drop. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to change the lighting here, and we're going to change it to what I normally change it to, 12 p.m. noon time. That way we get the sun kind of straight overhead. That way it kind of gives us good light on everything. Okay. So, now I think what we want to do is we're going to go into a second hill. A lot of times on these wood coasters you'll see them come down the first hill, then there's usually a second hill. And that second hill, a lot of times kind of sets the whole profile of what your wooden coaster is going to be. A lot of these get real spread out. They get kind of long and elongated of a track. That way they have a nice profile designed to them. And a lot of times if you have like mountains or something like that in the background, I guess kind of like that, I guess maybe we should have built it the other way, but you know, for the purposes of this, it doesn't much matter. Okay, so let's go up slightly here. We have a nice gentle slope. Right? Just up a little bit more. Let's shorten this up just a little. And you see I'm kind of just going a little bit higher and a little bit higher with each piece of track that I set down. We're going to go back and we're going to use the smoothing tool just to smooth some things out, but I think that looks pretty nice and smooth coming through that first drop and into the second drop. So let's slightly angle off the top here. And it's important to keep this second hill a touch smaller than that first drop, because if you make it higher or similar height, it's not going to have enough speed to make it up. And I don't want to add another chain lift, so. Alright, we're at 27 here. And if you're not sure how to get those height things on, there is a way to do that. What's that do? Oh, that takes on and off supports. I can't remember exactly where the height settings are, but you can turn that on and off. Okay, so now we're going to flatten off this top of the hill because I don't want it to be any higher. We're going to smoothly take it over that top of the hill. I think with the amount of momentum that we're going to have as it gets to the top here, we don't want it to be too sharp of a hill, or there's going to be a lot of negative G-forces coming off of there, and that's going to make people scared and nauseous. So let's just make this a nice smooth hill. We're going to just tiny bit lower on each piece of track as it comes down. Alright, nice. Now that is cool. I like that profile. That second hill is real nice and smooth. I like that. So what we're going to do, let's just throw a test train on there and get that going and just kind of see how that goes so far. Alright, so we've got our first train here coming down into that little area that we slightly lowered off of the station. Alright, I'm liking that. See how it kind of pulls it up a little faster with that chain lift being faster that we made? I like that. Alright, coming down here. Nice, look how smooth that's going. That's nice. Loses a little bit of momentum coming up there. And then it crashes into the ground. So I think, all right, let's stop that test. I think we may even want to lower this just a little bit because I don't think it got quite enough momentum as I was going for coming up over that second hill. I want it to come up a little bit faster over that, or else the excitement rating is going to drop because we're not really going fast enough over that hill. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select these few pieces here with the selection tool. And I'm just going to take this and I'm going to drag it down, and that's going to lower off that top of that hill. Now the only problem is, now that we did that, you see we lost our smooth track here. So what we're going to do is we're going to click here, and we're going to drag down to here, and we're just going to use the smoothing tool. Smooth all, smooth all, smooth all. Hit that about 3 or 4 times, and you see how nice and smooth that made that. So now we're just going to kind of do that same thing on this other side here. So let's take that and let's do the same thing. Let's smooth that out. Okay, let's start the test again while we continue on. Nice. Okay. Let's just unselect that. And that'll be our first straight piece coming off of the hill. Now what I think I want to do is, right after we get into the second drop here, what I would like to do is, I think, go into a big overbanked curve, and that's going to curve it back around this way and head back towards the station, and we'll probably, alright, let's see how this goes. Yeah, that's a little bit better. That's a little bit better. Let's stop that. I don't want it to crash. If you're testing and your train crashes off the end of the track, it doesn't have any effect on anything. It's just, I don't like to watch my train crash. So let's go ahead and start working on curving for our overbanked curve. So the first thing that we're going to do here is we're going to go into our utility settings here, and we're going to make the banking offset. Now what this is going to do is, it's before you go into your turn, it's going to bow out a little bit to kind of prepare the car for the turn. So let's go ahead and let me turn angle snap back on just for a minute. Makes it a little bit easier doing some of this banking. A lot of coasters that are wooden, you kind of see them do hard banks and things like that, because they're meant to be a little bit rickety. They're not meant to be perfectly smooth, kind of like a steel coaster. So yeah, we're gonna do a banking offset of 2. Now you see kind of how it pushes it a little bit left before it's gonna start banking right. That's what we want. Now if you do negative, it obviously does it the other way, and that's the opposite of what we want. So we want it to do like this. And we're gonna give it just a little bit of verticality here. If we go ahead and we turn off angle snap, just so I can get the vertical exactly how I would like. Okay, right there looks about good. Okay, so now we're going to start our overbanked curve here. We can go ahead and we can turn off the banking overset, or banking offset. Okay, now let's go ahead and really bank this a little bit harder. Let's move it up to about like a 58. So we want to go up a little bit more on the hill here. That looks pretty good. Do one more of those, and now here's where we want to really kind of build it to where it's going to have its flat piece on the bank. So let's bank it a little more. Let's go up to 65, and we'll put that in there. Now that's basically going to be 1/2 of our overbanked curve. So it's going to come down here. Let's see, that's 21. This is a 32 height-wise, so I think that should be pretty good. It should move pretty well through here. Now let's just make sure this stays nice and even. And now is where we really want to give it that steep bank that the overbank curve has. So we go 75 here. How big can I make this? Oh, 85, okay. So yeah, let's go right around 75. You can see that's really hard banked, but it's only going to be like that for this one piece. Okay. So now we're going to go back to, what do we have it at, 58? What was that piece? This one. 50, oh no, 66. Okay, so let's go ahead and make this one 66 as well. We want it to be pretty even, pretty symmetrical. Okay, and we're just going to bring it down just slightly. That's where we're going to start our descent. Okay, nice. And then the other one was 58, I believe. So that's going to be a 58. Now we can go back after we set this all up and test it, and we can go back and we can do the smoothing tool, and we can do the smooth banking and stuff like that, and that'll help it. But when you do use the smooth banking tool, it's going to take some of this hard banking out that we put in. So if you want to use smooth banking after you do stuff like this, always err on the side of banking more, because it will reduce your banking. So now let's go back head here, and I believe this one was around 44 or so, 42. Let's go ahead and bring that down. Like I said, I just want to keep it fairly symmetrical. Okay, that's a little bit too rough. Bring it up. Let's take some more of that curve down. Let's bring it back to around 30. Doesn't have to be exact, doesn't have to be perfect. And right here is where we're just going to almost bank back to straight. Actually want to lower that one just a little bit. Just want to have it come down just a little bit more, get more level with the ground. And now we're going to go back to straight. And just down a touch, just get it more level with the ground. Alright, so there's our overbank curve. I kind of like that. So let's start our test. We'll run our train through that, just to make sure everything goes through nice and smooth. I like to do testing, you know, after every kind of section that I build, just to make sure the train's going through how I like it. That way I don't have to go back after everything's built and try to delete stuff out. And, you know, it can get a little bit crazy when you do things like that, to try to get everything to match back up how you like it. So it's good to run these little tests, you know, when you're finish a section. So okay, here's our coaster. Coming down the main hill. Coming into the second hill. Gets nice speed up over there. Down into the big overbanked curve. Look how smooth that's running through there. Nice. I let my train crash. Now you can keep an eye on this, see where it says live data here on our test ratings. We can keep an eye on that as the train's testing to kind of get a gauge of where our excitement level and our fear level and stuff is. You know, I kind of keep an eye on that, but one section's not going to truly make or break your coaster rating as far as excitement and fear and nausea, unless it is very extreme. And this right here is not very extreme, so we can always go back and tweak things if we need to. So what I think we're going to do now is we're going to kind of come underneath of this second hill, because you see a lot of wooden coasters, they kind of cut in between and out of itself. That way you can have these what they call like head choppers, to where you're running through the supports here and it feels like, you know, you're going to hit your head on them, but you're not. But it feels that way, so it adds a little bit of fear, a little bit of excitement into your wooden coaster. You see that a lot in real life with wooden coasters. So what we're going to do, I think we're going to probably maybe do like a helix or something through there. But first, before we go through that, what I'd like to add in right here, let's shorten this up just a little bit. We're going to add in, I think, a double uphill. So I'll show you what this is and kind of explain that a little bit as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up. Let's shorten this even just a little bit more to a short piece, just up a touch more on that second piece. And then what we're going to do is we're going to flatten, still going up, and then we're going to go up again. That might not be quite enough of a double, but you see, once we round this off here at the top, you see how it creates this dip. So you go uphill, it flattens a little bit, and it goes uphill again. That's going to create like some airtime. And airtime is a pretty important element of a lot of different coasters because it does add excitement to your track. I'm sure you've ridden coasters where you feel like you're popping out of your seat a little bit, and that's what we're trying to create here with this airtime. You can do this on, you know, a double up. You can also do it on a double down. You see a lot of coasters do that. So that's what we're going to try and go for a little bit here, is we're going to round off the top here, and then we're just going to smoothly come back downhill. And this is where I think we're going to get into our helix. So let's go ahead and start banking. Go into our utilities, and we're going to do a bank offset. We're going to do about a 40. We're going to start at like a 33. We're going to smoothly come into this helix. So we'll start at a 33. Now let's spin around just so we can make sure we got our bank offset correct. Okay, so we're going to be curving to the right, so we want to bank offset to the left before we go in. Yeah, that's incorrect, and that's correct. So let's go ahead and extend this piece out just a little bit. We're just going to give it one more slight little bit of a curve. Okay. Just flatten it out a little bit more. Alright, nice. Now we're really going to bank harder. We're going to move it up to like a 52, I think sounds pretty good. 53, whatever, that's fine. So let's go ahead and curve this into itself to create that head chopper kind of moment that we were talking about. And just bring it up just a little bit. Alright, you see that? You see how you're going to kind of cut through here? And once you cut through, you're going to feel like you're going to be hitting into the track supports. That's kind of what we're going for. And we're actually going slightly uphill. So we're going to curve around again. We're going to tuck this in even tighter. We're just going to add a little bit more. We're going to take it up from 53 to 60, just on this area here, because you're going to be having some nice G-force moments here coming through here. We're just going to raise it just a touch, just to keep it going uphill. Okay, nice. We're going to extend this out just a little, and just keep going with that. Now we're going to come back off of our bank a little bit, back down to a 52, and now we're going to just jump back over top of this track. Yeah, kind of like that. But this is where we want to get going straight again. So let's just bring it down, see how far it lets us bring it down. Okay, so right there. And what that's going to do is that's actually going to create a second head chop here. So you're going to do a double head chop into this helix that's going slightly upward, that's nice and banked. We're just going to come back straight and head back towards the middle of our original lift hill. And that's where we can create another head chop moment as we go back towards the station. So let's zoom in here. Let's actually, I think coming out of this, let's cut it down here. Alright, so the track is in the way, so we can't bend it too much. But I think what we might want to do is create a banking offset coming out of the hill, just like that. So since we're banking out, we're going to be doing that the opposite way that we did on the bank in. Okay, and we'll create that. Now we can put our banking offset back to 0. And we'll just spin back close to, let's go to like maybe just 10. Shorten this up. Right, shorten that up like that. Try to get it leveled off. Like that. Nice. We'll bring our angle banking back to 0. Lengthen our track a little bit. And then we'll just slowly build downward. We want to get some more going in here. Now what I think I might do here is I might add a little double down if I have room. So let's see if we have some room for that, because you're not going to be having a ton of speed coming through here. You'll have some speed, but we want to make it still a little bit more interesting. So let's just do let's make it a little steeper. Down like that. Out to a flat. Is this off? Oh, that's a little bit, see, that's a little bit more curved here than I wanted. So let's go ahead and come back here. And we'll just curve this to where it's straighter. Let's turn angle snap on just to make sure this is straight. Alright, I think that's straight. Alright, so we'll turn it on for 1. Make sure it was flattening just like we wanted. Okay. And now we're going to turn it back off. That way we can adjust in higher detail. So this is where we wanted to make our double down. So we're going to cut it down pretty hard here. And then we're going to come flat, a little bit more length to it, like so, and then right back down. Now, then we're going to come flat, and we're going to just make this a little bit longer. Well, first let's adjust this to where it's kind of hard to see in between these. We want to have it down to where it's flat, like that. And we'll put one there, and then we'll make this one nice and flat as well. And then we can extend this out. Yeah, something like that. Because you see, that's a pretty steep double down. Normally you wouldn't make it like this, but I think because we're going to have such little momentum, and we'll still have some speed, but I think that's going to be a nice little airtime jump there. So we'll flatten that out, and we'll just keep going through here. Because you don't want to neglect the end of your track. You know, a lot of times at this point people are just like, okay, just turn and go to the station. We don't want to neglect this because people will find the end very boring, and that's going to affect your excitement rating. So let's start just building from the back here. Now we want to make some sort of block breaks. I think we're going to try to do. We may have some trouble doing that with the way I've laid this out, since I think we're going to need a midpoint break here. You know what? Instead of doing the block breaks, let's just extend our station so we can get 2 cars on. What do we have? We had exit right and exit left, or exit left. Yeah, let's go ahead and change them both to entry and exit on the right, because the way we built the track, it's going to be tough to build a queue line over there. So let's go ahead and put exit and entry on this side. And we'll just add a couple little station pieces. That way we can get multiple trains or one large train. Just kind of depends what we want. And then we're going to go ahead and build our standard track here down at the end. And we're just going to elevate this just on a slight descent coming into the station, because we're going to be braking at the end, and we want it to just kind of slowly roll into the station. So what we'll do is we'll come back over here. I think we just might do another little uphill kind of thing. Let's make this one a little bit smoother than the last. You can have these hills at the end a little bit different than you might otherwise, because you don't have a lot of speed. This is really entangled in this support structure here. It's kind of interesting, kind of neat. Let's go ahead and add a little bit of bank and a little bit of curve. And we're just going to have this start to come down and back towards the station. Add some more bank here. Get that to come down. And then slightly up. And let's go ahead and just auto-click that. Now let's just grab this right here, and we're just through this little bit that we made. Let's go ahead and just smooth that all out. So let's click the smooth tool maybe 2 or 3 times, 4 times, give it one smooth bank or 2, just to make sure that's okay, because we kind of rushed that a little bit, but you know, it doesn't have to be perfect at the end. And then right here on this piece of track, let's go ahead and add some trim brakes. And let's adjust the target speed down to about 10 miles an hour. And we will do the deceleration rate. Let's keep it pretty high. By then we're not going to have a lot of speed anyway. So we just want it to smoothly glide into the station. Let's click done so we can go ahead into our operations. And we will mess with the number of trains and number of cars per train. So I want to make 2 trains. That way we can keep it running at all times. So we just click down on the number of cars per train until we get this little arrow. So you see, it still has 6 and 1, and both arrows are grayed out. And as soon as I go down to 5 cars per train, the up arrow on number of trains becomes blue. So you see that? Now we can add our second train, and 5 cars looks like that's going to be the max capacity for our number of car trains. So let's go back ahead and go into Edit Track now that we have that set, and we will just start to test. Actually, one thing I want to do before we do that is go back to Operations. I like to set the minimum rider load for 3/4 and the departure time. Let's go ahead and bump this up to about 25 seconds. We can go back and we can adjust this a little bit more, and we'll do that after we see the full duration of how long it takes for this ride to get completed. So we'll mess with that in a little bit, but let's go ahead back and we'll go to Edit Track, and then we're going to start our test. This time, while we're running our test, we're going to be keeping a closer eye on the live data feed that's here. So, why aren't you starting? Oh, because I changed the minimum wait time to start. That's why I was waiting. I guess I should have done all that afterwards. But anyway, this is fine. So let's keep an eye on our excitement and our fear and our nausea. Obviously we're going up the main lift hill right now, so excitement and fear are going to be pretty low. So now once they get to the top, a little bit more excitement's coming in, which is nice. Okay. And down, yes. We want all that stuff to stay in the green. So we're looking pretty good here. They crest over the second hill. Everything still looks pretty nice. Coming into our overbank curve, about 40 miles an hour. Excitement didn't really go up into the green much there. Our double up, nice. That created some excitement. Into our helix. Okay, our fear got a little bit high through there. And now our harsh double down. Yeah, see, our fear really jumped there. I didn't think it was going to be going that fast through there. And our fear really jumped at the end as well. I think our fear is going to be too high. Let's see what our results say. Oh, our fear was okay. Our excitement was just not quite in the green, which is what we were going for. So, I think we're going to have to make just a couple of adjustments. Now what we can do here is we can use these heat maps. I really like these because you can see on the track where your track is lacking or where it's really good. Okay, and you see all this red coming through our overbank curve. I think what's happening is our overbank curve is just a little bit too high, and the car's coming in a little bit too slow through this curve, and that's kind of what's making it boring. Let's check the fear on it. Okay, fear is nice and low, so that's good. What about nausea? Let's check that. Nausea is good all the way around. Okay, so that means we banked it nicely. Speed, yeah, just what we thought. We were watching, so we know it was 40 going through there. It's just a little bit too slow, I think. So let's go ahead and take that off. And what we're going to try and do is we're going to go through this whole overbank curve. We're going to select this whole thing here from the beginning to the end. No, I don't want to select that part of that hill. Okay. Oops, I still got part of that hill selected. There we go. Alright, let's just move this up just to where the overbank curve is. And now let's bring it down. Let's bring the whole thing down. Right? Down just a little bit more. Now the only problem with when we did that is you see here we've created this kind of unintentional double up. And we don't want that right there. So we're going to smooth all. Look at that. I love the smoothing tool in this. This is very, very cool. So that smoothed that all out. Now we have the same problem over here. Let's go ahead and smooth that out. Very nice. Alright, and I think that's going to be good. Now the only problem is we're going to come through all of this with a bit too much speed now. Now I think it might be okay through the helix. I think we're going to see a little bit of a spike in fear like we saw before. We can go ahead and look at the heat map again. You see it got close to 8 coming through here, which is, it's high, but if you hit it just for a few seconds, that's okay. And the real problem comes through when we came through our real tight double down and through that last bit. Look at that, it almost got much too fast going through there. So what we want to do is right in here, we're just going to click this right in here. What should we do here? I wanted to add some trim brakes, but yeah, I guess that's what we're going to have to do. So let's delete this part and this as well. And we can go ahead, bank that down to 0, and add our trim brakes right there. Okay, so we're going to add our trim brakes, we're going to check our utility settings. Let's go ahead and put our target speed around 24. Deceleration, let's just make that a little bit lower just so it doesn't jerk you when it tries to brake. We don't want it to brake too hard. And we'll add that piece, and then we'll autocomplete. So I think that's going to be pretty good. So let's go ahead and test. Start our test again. And we're just going to go ahead and we're going to monitor this again through all of this. So the main thing we're going to be watching for is the parts that we edited here. So this big overbank curve, since we lowered that, hopefully there's going to be more speed and excitement through there. All of this should stay the same, and then our little brake here, that's going to hopefully brake enough. We may have to adjust it to be a little bit stronger of a braking section. That way it doesn't go down this real steep double down and this last bit of curving back to the station too high of speed, or else that's going to really not be very good. So okay, coming back down our first hill, everything here is just going to be the same as it was last time. Nice, we got a nice run coming through there. Up around the overbank curve. This time we came through at about 42, 43. Nice up, yeah, see that gives us some good excitement and fear rating there. Through the helix. Okay, that went down to 24 just like we had hoped. Now it's running through the end here. See, I think it's actually running a little bit slow through there, to be honest. Let's see how our results play after that. We may have to adjust that brake run just to have a little bit less braking. Oh, okay. Yeah, that was bad. That was bad. Yeah, look at that, it's braking too much there. Well, let's check our heat maps again. Excitement. Okay. Okay, that's decent through there. We get some nice excitement on this first double up that we have right here. That's nice, and we get some nice excitement through the double helix. We're gonna have to do something here at the end because this is just not working out very nice. You know, maybe, what's the fear through there? Okay, so we cut down on the fear nicely through there. Although it looks like the fear actually went up. I can't even remember what it was last time. I should have looked at that a little bit more closer. Huh. So I'm not exactly sure what we're going to do to fix this. Let's go back ahead and let's adjust this brake run and we'll see how that affects things, because I think it's braking a little bit too much here. So let's make our target speed 36, with our deceleration rate just a little bit slower. That way it maintains some speed through here. If we have it jerk around a little bit more at the end, we may have to adjust just this end bit here with maybe another little hill or another little bank curve or section or something like that. But I think the rest of this is fairly good. We could even lower this overbanked curve just to get a little bit more speed, or lower this second hill just a touch, just to get a little more speed and air time coming off of that. So let's do one more run through. We'll do this run through and we will check our ratings again, and we'll see. Oh, that just jumped up now. I wonder if it was because the other train was testing through that. Huh. If that's the case, then our fear is nice. Our nausea is still good. We just need to bump that excitement rating up just a little bit more. Now, since we adjusted that, it may make a difference on this first test run here. See, I still think this is just so smooth that it's coming through here. I like how smooth it is, but the people aren't finding it too exciting. They like that right there, that little air time. They like the helix. Now let's see how it breaks through here. Okay. I think that might be okay. Now let's see what we get here, if our testing changes at all. No. Okay, so that was already what the rating was from the other train testing, I guess, at the same time. So let's go and let's check our excitement again, because we need to raise it. Of course it's going to be not exciting on this hill. The second hill, decent. Decent through the overbank curve. This flat part here is not very exciting. Alright, so what I think we might do this time, let's take this off and let's go back to editing. Let's just take this hill and let's make it a little bit lower. That way it'll maintain a little bit more speed coming through here. Let's just lower this whole thing again, just kind of like we did the first time. We'll go in here. You know, we could actually leave that little double up and double down. That actually might, that little kink that I put there, that might actually just bump it around just enough to where they think it's a little bit more exciting. We may need to do something right here where that just went through that straight piece, because they think that's boring from what we saw on our heat map. But we'll see. We'll see how this affects things. Since we lowered that hill, there might be some more speed coming through, which we might have to adjust our brake run again. And I don't know if that train had started in time from our edits. Okay, so we gained a little bit of excitement. We're close. I believe 6 excitement is where the green begins. So if we could just get a little more excitement there. Let's check our heat map again. Okay, now you see how we changed that second hill to almost all green in excitement? That was what we wanted. So if we can just go ahead, I think this is going to put us over the edge here. So let's turn that back off. Now if we go into this little area, right? And we just raise it up a little bit. We're almost going to create a little bump for it, right? Let's raise that up. Just a touch more. Maybe something like that. I think that might do it. It's just going to give it a little bit more excitement through there. It's not going to be super crazy or anything like that. You see it bump and then double bump. And I think that is going to put us over the edge. So let's see. That's such a crazy little double downhill there, but they don't have a lot of speed. Okay, so let's see here. Let's see what result we're going to get. And surveys say, boom, there we go. Okay. Now we got all green, just like we had originally been trying for. So there it is. There's our wooden coaster with all green and excitement, fear, and nausea. I think what we made here is pretty cool. Let's just go ahead, we'll test it, and we'll kind of get our POV view here. So here's our beginning. Coming out of the station, just down that little bit of a downhill into our chain lift, which we made as fast as a chain lift can go, just because we like it to be a little quicker. Going up that first drop is going to give us all the momentum for the rest of our track. Slight decline into a curve, and that first drop. Here's where it gets a little steeper. Now there's that little dip that we put in just by lowering that second hill. Another little dip into our overbank curve. Nice and smooth through here. Second dip we put in, another dip to our double uphill, and down into our helix with the head choppers. Back out of our curve to our brake section, our double down, back into the station where we brake and slowly roll into the station. Nice. I like that, and that's a pretty cool ride. Now let's just go ahead and we'll go into the operations. And first I want to go into the testing, and I want to check the duration. So we go into results. 74 seconds long. So we're going to use that data right there. That's 74 seconds. And what we're going to do is we're going to make the minimum departure time. We're actually going to take these two things off, right? We're going to take those off. We're going to make this half of 37 is half of 7. I forgot what it said. 73? 74, okay. Half of 74 is 37. So let's make 37, right? Now let's stop it. And then we'll test it. So it should wait 37 seconds, and then it will start. And then another 37 seconds, and the second train will start. And that should be about halfway through the track. So halfway through the track, the second train should start, and then the other one should be just about done by the other time the other one gets halfway through. So the idea is to constantly have the two trains going through the track at the same time. Now you can always adjust these two. What we're going to do is we're going to finish this up in just a minute or two. We're going to upload it as a blueprint, show you all that. We're going to put that into the workshop. You can look it up, Silly McGooserton. You can download it, you can put it in your park. You know, I'm not going to do any scenery or theming or anything with that. We're just going to build the raw coasters. You guys can make that to fit to your park however you like, because a lot of people have different themes. They're going for a Western theme, or they're going for a sci-fi theme, or something like that. So there we go. Halfway through the track, our second train started. Nice. So you can adjust all this stuff as well to however, you might need it for your park. Okay, nice. So let's just go ahead and we're going to save this as a blueprint. Well, I guess first we should name it. That would probably be smart to do first. The Monster 1 is not a very exciting name. So what should we name this? Anybody have any ideas? Let's just name this as the wood rabbit. I don't know. Good enough, right? The wood rabbit. There you have it. Who would have thunk the wood rabbit? Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll save the wood rabbit as a blueprint. New blueprint. This is going to be our thumbnail. I just kind of like to get a whole view of the coaster in the thumbnail, or at least, you know, maybe the silhouette of it, something like that. Doesn't really matter, but you know, you want people that might be looking at it to kind of be like, oh, that looks neat, so maybe they'll click on it. So let's go ahead, item title, the wood rabbit. Item description, a rolling wooden coaster with green, excitement, fear, and nausea ratings. Created during episode 1 of, let's make this 01, 01 of the We Create YouTube series. And then we'll just sign it, Silly McGooserton. Okay, nice. Now you can also add tags here. Wooden, scenery, buildings, coaster station, other buildings. What it has is good. It knows it's a wood coaster, so let's go ahead and create that blueprint. And then we're going to go into My Blueprints right here. We're going to click Coasters. We're going to look for the wooden rabbit. The wood rabbit. There we are. Upload to Steam Workshop. New workshop item. Everything we had right there. You can always add a more description here. You can add up to 8,000 characters in the Steam Workshop. You can only add 200 when you're saving it as a blueprint. So if you want to add other things here, you can. You can always go back and edit all this stuff later as well. So right now we're just going to leave it how it is. We're going to create the workshop item. And it's uploading to Steam. Usually only takes a few minutes. Seconds. There you go. So okay, now that is in our workshop. Just exit out of that. And there we have it. So we're going to end it there, guys. I hope you enjoyed the very first episode of the We Create series. We're going to do this for every single coaster and some of the track rides as well. Don't forget to click that like button if you like this video and subscribe. That way you can see when there's new things that come out and stay up to date on the series. So other than that, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. I can't wait to talk to you guys next time. Thanks for watching.